Assalamu alaikum brothers and sisters. This video I will be telling you the date that is confirmed. Even though the title said that the date is confirmed when the Mahdi will come, I don't want you to take it literally, but today's video I have some really important news, interesting news that I will share with you. But before I do that, if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing, because we do talk a lot about the coming of the Mahdi, Dajjal, Ya'juj and Ma'juj, and end of time from our observation and understanding from the Hadith. In this video, I'll be sharing that with you. So again, if you're new here, consider subscribing right now. Now, take a look at this video and then inshallah we'll talk more about it. Abu Huraira radiallahu anh, he reported that Rasulullah he said, Iraq will be prevented from its dirham, means currency, and its kifaz, means measurement. Sham means Syria and Palestine, that region. Sham will be prevented from its mad, means the measurement, and its dinar, means its currency. And now this is very important, dear brothers and sisters, very important. After he mentioned Iraq and Syria, you can also call it today's Palestine. Subhanallah, this hadith is so true. Palestine, Syria, that area, okay, including Iraq. Rasulullah he mentioned that these countries will lose their currency and their measurement. Today nobody wants to deal business with their currency. We don't even know if they have any currency anymore, right? And then now listen to this, very important. After he mentioned those two regions, those few countries, he mentioned then, and Egypt. Listen to this. He said that, and Egypt will be prevented from its irdab, means measurement, and its dinar, means currency. And then Rasulullah he said, you will recoil to that position from where you started, and you will recoil to that position from where you started. The bones and the flesh of Abu Huraira radiallahu anh would bear testimony to it. Subhanallah. And this hadith is reported in Muslim, Sahih al-Muslim, and the hadith number is 41. In other words, dear brothers and sisters, after we have seen what happened with Iraq and also Sham, Syria, Palestine, that region where there is nothing called currency, they don't even have any measurement, nobody even talks about it. After those places, Rasulullah said the next country that will lose is the country that whose measurement and currency will be prevented, the irdab, will be Egypt, today's Egypt. Subhanallah. And Rasulullah he mentioned that after this happened, means the total collapse of currency, they will recoil to that position. So my understanding is that we will all have to go back to Medina, where it all started, and Allah Azza wa Jal will prepare the Mahdi from the Medina, where he will flee to Mecca, and then we know there will be a civil war taking place. But the main point here is really that the economic situation in those regions like Iraq, Palestine, Syria, Egypt will be devastated. And if you take a look at this video, I want to show you something very interesting. And this news is from actually Forbes magazine. They mentioned Middle East set for sharp economic fall due to COVID-19, and they're calling it, IMF calling it, Great Lockdown. Basically means the latest predictions from the IMF, means International Monetary Fund, they show that almost every economy across the Middle East and North Africa, MENA region is forecast to shrink this year, with declines ranging from a 1.1% contraction for Kuwait to a 12% decline for Lebanon. Egypt is the only country IMF expects to post any growth this year at 2%, although that is still far lower than the 5.6% expansion that was seen last year. Even Egypt, dear brothers and sisters, their economy will decline. And this is not what I'm saying, this is what IMF is saying, and this news was published on Forbes magazine. And also there is a report by Al Jazeera newspaper. They are saying that the economy, the largest economy in the Middle East, two countries, Saudi Arabia and UAE, they are preparing for a fall of their currency. Means their currency is declining, their economy is shrinking. With some notable exceptions, oil exporters are expected to fare worse than oil importers this year. So subhanAllah, people who are exporting oil, who are these people exporting oil? Saudi Arabia, also UAE, they also export oil. While those selling oil are expected to suffer a 3.9% contraction in their economies, those which rely on imports are forecast to see a decline of 0.8%. So people, again, the countries who are exporting oil will be hard hit by this COVID-19. That's the point. After Rasulullah SAW, he mentioned about the decline of the currency of Egypt, Syria and Iraq. Rasulullah SAW, he mentioned, Abu Hurairah radiallahu anh, he said, Rasulullah SAW said, after that hadith, Abu Hurairah, he mentioned that Rasulullah, he said, يَكُونُ فِي آخِرِ أُمَّتِي خَلِيفَةً يَحْسِلْ مَالَ حَسِيًا لَا يَؤُدُّهُ أَبَدًا. Means that after he mentioned this hadith, Rasulullah, he said that there will be a Khalif in the last period of my ummah who would freely give handfuls of wealth to the people without counting them. And this hadith again reported in Sahih al-Muslim, and it was narrated originally from Abu Nadra. So subhanAllah, Rasulullah, he said that when this situation, the economic situation, will get worse and worse, there will be a man called the Mahdi will come, and he will give to people handful, and he will not count how much he is giving. Subhanallah. Okay, so that was the report. What it basically means is that right now we're actually waiting for the currency, the Egyptian economy, to collapse. Now, I'm not against Egypt. I'm not against the people of Egypt. I love them. I love them so much. However, we cannot deny the prophecy. This hadith is reported in Sahih al-Muslim, and Rasulullah SAW, he said that the currency, the irdab of Egypt will fall. We have seen how the Iraqi currency fell. We have seen how the currency of Sham, Syria, Palestine has fallen. Now these days their currency are not used for any kind of trade in the world. Even in their countries, I don't know how they do businesses, but nobody talks about Palestinian currency. What is their money? What is their currency? Is it dollar? Is it Palestinian dollar? What it is? Or what about Iraq? What about Syria? Nobody talks about it. So they are gone. In other words, they are gone. And the prophecy is so precise. Rasulullah said that the first currency will fall will be Iraq, and then Asham. Iraq's currency fell in the year 2003 when the foreigners, the US, actually it fell in the year before even that, when Iraq invaded Kuwait, and US put a sanction on Iraqi economy. That's really when it all started. That's when Iraqi currency fell. And then we also know right now the currency in Syria and Palestine, the Asham, has fallen for a long time. I mean, but that happened after Iraqi currency fell. That's the point. So Iraqi currency is gone, Syria, Palestine, the Asham currency is gone, Yemen. Now the next is going to be Egypt. Now Egypt's currency will not fall very easily, but there is a strong possibility that because of the COVID-19, the economy in that region, as I mentioned, they're all shrinking. Egypt's economy will also shrink. There is no doubt about that. In fact, they're forecasting that even though Egypt will have a growth, but nevertheless that growth will be insignificant compared to their growth in the last years. And that is only because of the COVID-19. In other words, because of the COVID-19, these economies are, falling out of control. They're just getting completely, damaged. Saudi Arabia's economy is so bad right now, you have no idea. Even though they're trying to build the Neom city, I mentioned that in my other video, nevertheless, they are running short in cash. They have raised taxes on their people, on their citizen. UAE, they have opened their market economy because they can never afford to have it shut for so long. So these countries are showing symptoms of desperation, as we know that the Mahdi, when he will come, there will be a civil war. the Khalifa, the son of three Khalifa, will fight for a treasure. Why they are fighting? The simple answer to that question is that the economy, there is no money, there is no food, people are desperate. And at that time, the Mahdi will run from Medina to Mecca, right? And that's when people will give him bay'ah, right? So when is the date confirmed? Well, the coming of the Mahdi, what we can expect and what we can understand by studying this hadith, and doing our research by reading the Quran and Sunnah. What I understand is that the coming of the Mahdi will take place right after Egyptian economy will collapse. Okay, it will collapse completely. Once that happens, then we will see that the coming of the Mahdi is going to take place. And Rasulullah, the interesting thing, the reason I'm saying that, you might argue, well, brother, the economy is one thing, the coming of the Mahdi other thing, right? But that is not the case. The hadith, Abu Huraira, when he was narrating the hadith, after he said what Rasulullah said about Egypt and Iraq and Asham, that same hadith, after Abu Hurairah, he ended the hadith, he said, I swear by the one who has my soul in his hand, Rasulullah said that a Khalifa will come at the end of the time and he will give people a handful of wealth and he will not count it. The same hadith, same thing, same context. It is not separated. This is not a separate incident. The coming of the Mahdi and the collapse of the economy of Egypt, Iraq, Palestine and the Middle East is all interlinked. Okay, one will happen and it will have a domino effect. The other will take place. So dear brothers and sisters, when you think the Mahdi will come, inshallah, very soon, and we are seeing widespread oppression, sanctions. One of the other things that we find from the hadith, when Rasulullah said the currency will be denied by the Romans, it means that the Westerners will put sanctions. So, subhanAllah, they followed the hadith exactly the same way that the hadith described. We hope and pray that inshallah the Mahdi will be with us soon. If we are alive, we want to follow him. But again, remember, you do not want to be living at the end of time. Min shirari nasi man tudrikum sa'atu wa hum ahya'un. The one who will be living at the end of the time, Rasulullah he said, will be the worst of people. Like this video if you did, share this video, leave a comment, subscribe to this channel. I will see you soon again. Assalamu alaikum.